Good morning, and thank you all for coming to this presentation. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to cover different topics. I'm going to talk about grass weed control issues. This season, we had several issues with poor grass control. I will focus mostly on springle top because this is the weed that create quite a few problems in our field. Then I will talk about the herbicide resistance screening program. This is a program funded by the RISE Research Board, and this program is to help the growers to make decision when they have a problem with herbicide-resistant weeds. Then I will talk about the study we did about serrano timing. What is the proper timing and if that timing can be altered. Then in the end, I will visit with you about our research on new herbicides. We're pretty excited to see 4 different and new molecules we are testing now for weed control and rice. And we're going to have Loyant, which is what I've been told is going to be soon in the market. Paraclonel, which probably is going to be in the market in 2022, the package at EPA for review. Then Roxyrize, and I'm not talking much about it because I know Kent has a presentation, so I don't want to take the thunder from him. And then in the end, I will visit with you about exciting project, a herbicide from FMC. It's a new grass herbicide. Now, last year, we got quite a few complaints about lack of springle top with the herbicide used. So first, we need to know what herbicide work well on springle top. We don't have too many herbicide work well on springle top. Bute, Serrano, Thiobinkar, and these are 3 herbicides applied early in the season, which I usually call them a base treatment, that you need to use those base treatment. And then if the weed or springle top escape those treatment, then you can come up to clean them with a clincher. That's the only post-emergence herbicide available for us to control springle top, to clean up springle top. Many of you probably know that we do have quite a few population with resistance to clincher. So if the springle top escape those 3 herbicide treatment and you have resistant to clincher, it's tough luck. You cannot control that weed. So I think I want you to be focused and try to use those basic treatment to tackle the problem early on, because that's the best shot you're gonna get on the springle top. Among those 3 herbicides, from my experience and what we see in the field, probably Bute is the stronger one. Serrano works very well, and I will get to that, how you can make it work well. Thiobinkar is okay, and we talk about the clincher. Now, the other thing we need to know, this weed is a slow-growing weed when it starts. But once it starts and establish, and the temperature pick up, it go very fast. It develop very fast. This weed also weak, and you can suppress it when you have a deep water. I had a student, Katie Drivers, she graduated now, and she did work on springle top. And I want to share this piece of data with you. And what Katie did, she planted springle top, 2 populations, one of them susceptible to all herbicide, the other one is resistant to Serrano, and she grew them in plots in the field where she had 2 inches water, 4 inches water, and 8 inches water. And this is constant across the season. Because there is also a problem with, I will get to that. Let me finish this first. So what she found, both population came and grew fine when the water depth was 2 inches. When we increased the water depth to 4 inches, the susceptible population did not come through. The chromosome resistant population, the Serrano resistant population came through. When she went up to 8 inches water, none of them came through the water. So the water depth is very important to maintain good suppression and control of springle top. Now, one issue we deal with is when people do a pinpoint treatment. They lower the water so they can put a propanil regimen or whatever clincher. And if they take too much time to spray, then bring the water back, you can have a flush of sprinkle top to come, although you are using a deep water in the field. So be careful. If you do that and you do a pinpoint treatment, drain the water quickly, put the herbicide, and don't wait more than 48 hours and bring the water quickly back to the field. As I said earlier, this weed is a slow starter, and it doesn't grow well when the temperature is cool. So Katie also did a study where she planted sprinkle top. She planted the seed actually, and she planted them at different timing. And here is what you see when she planted them in April 30th. See how long it took the sprinkle top to come up. To have 50% of the seed to come up, she almost had 40 days to get that goal. So it took quite a bit of time to get to that level. Now, when planted them in May 20th, it took shorter to get to 50% emergence or establishment. And when she planted them late in June, which is warm, it didn't take much, 9 days, and 50% of the seeds emerge. Now, what's that? Why is that important? Well, if you come here and put Serrano here, in late April, what's going to happen? The sprinkle top Serrano is affect the seedling. When the seedling start to germinate, that's the best time for Serrano to work. So what happened? If you put Serrano here, it's going to take 50 days to get 50% emergence. So still 50% is going to come later on. So by that time, Serrano probably broken down, diluted in the soil, and then is not going to work well. So if you put Serrano very early, don't expect to have good control of sprinkle top, although Serrano is very good on sprinkle top. The reason for that, because it degrades before the weed emerge. If you put it late in the season, it works well because it doesn't take long time to germinate and establish the sprinkle top. Now the question is, what's about bute? Bute, sprinkle top is pretty sensitive to bute. Even if some of it is broken down, still you can get good control of sprinkle top. So I think this is something you keep it in mind when you manage sprinkle top, depth of water, time of application, and what herbicide you need to use. One important thing, we don't have too many herbicides to control sprinkle top. Even the new herbicide we are testing, most of them weak on sprinkle top. So this is a problem. We're going to deal with it for some time. Now, the next thing I want to share with you is our program to help a grower to decide what to do with, from herbicide standpoint, with herbicide-resistant weeds. Growers can have a problem with herbicide-resistant weeds, and they need to know what type of resistance they have and what they need to use to control that biotype. And this program, we established it, funded by RISE Research Board. It's a free for growers. You can, and PCA, you can send a sample and we can test it for you. We're not going to test it only what is resistant to, but also we're going to test it for you what herbicide can control it. So for example, if you send us barnyard grass, we're going to test it against Bolero, Bute, Serrano, Clincher, Regiment, and Super One. And we're going to tell you how it works, how these herbicides work on that biotype. Last year, we received 72 samples from growers. And this is the list of the samples and the weed and also the number of samples. So what you see between a bracket is the number of samples we tested. So for barnyard grass, we received 4 samples. We had resistant for almost everything except Serrano in this population. Some of them resistant to more than one herbicide. So they have multiple resistance. And for early water grass, we received 11 samples. And you can see here, We have quite a few resistance here, almost everything. We didn't use it, we didn't test a granite, shark, and grandstand because we think they don't control it and it's not on the label. Late water grass, we received several samples, and you can see we kind of have quite a few resistance here. 7 of them were resistant to a clincher, resistant to regiment. 5 of them resistant to superworm. And I think 5 of them resistant to 3 of these mode of action. So this is quite a problem for these type of growers. Most of the sample we receive are smaller flower sedges. And last year we received 33 samples, and you can see how many of these samples were resistant to superworm. We have wide spread resistant to propanil in a smaller flower. Also, several of them, 21 population out of 33 population, were resistant to regiment. We did not see resistant to bute, which is great. Bolero, I think the reason I am excited about this because bute is, we can use it to clean up field with resistant to smaller flower. Springle top, every year we get large number of springle top, and the grower put on the application. By the way, when you submit sample, you need to include an application or to fill that application, and then you combine it with the sample. So the grower 16 sample we received, most of them complain that Serrano, they are resistant to Serrano. When we did test the 16 sample, we did not find any one of them with resistant to Serrano. I think the reason is the one because I explained it to you. They put Serrano early and they don't get good control because it's early, the springle top emerge later, and the grower may think it is resistant to Serrano. So we did not see 5% over the year of the sample submit to us springle top, and they claim to be a Serrano resistant. They 5% were resistant to Serrano. However, we have quite a few resistant to clincher. Also, we tested 1 sample of bulrush, no resistant in all herbicide we tested. So when we finish the work, we provide the grower with report, and also we provide the grower or PCA with picture. And the picture has a photo of the herbicide we test them on a susceptible population that we have, and we compare that to their sample. And what you see, this sample came from one grower. This weed is resistant to clincher, abolish, and regiment, and you can control it with a granite. This is very good for growers because when they come to use herbicide, they know what to use. You know, instead of shooting in the dark, they know that still they can control it for this population, for example, with a granite. So this is a free. You can submit the sample to us at the end of the season. You need to fill up the application form, and you need to give us a good sample. And we promise to give you a result before the season starts so you can make a decision. If you send a sample this year, first week of March, you're going to get a report from us about the result of your sample. Now, the next study I want to share with you is the timing of Serrano. You know, Serrano is a good grass herbicide. The active ingredient is a clomazone. It's applied at day of seeding, and the rate we use it is somewhere between 8 to 12 pound product per acre. Now, how we grow rice, we flood the field with water, then we spread the seed and spread Serrano. Now, in many occasions, what happened is after you spread Serrano and you spread the seed, you start getting a windy day. And the wind start making wave in the field, wave with the water. And what happened? You're going to move the seed from one place to another, and you're going to get a poor distribution of the seeds. So that can affect, of course, your yield. Also, there are cases where the seeds keep floated on the water, and it doesn't sink and establish on the ground. Other cases, the seed does not establish well. And what the growers like to do at this point is to drain the field so they can allow seed to establish. They reduce the effect of the wind. And if they use Serrano, they got a problem because you heard from the commissioner, you have 14 days of holding, water holding. So what some growers like to do is to lather the field, lower the water, and then once the rise is established, the wind goes away, then they use Serrano. So what we did here, we did a study where we look at Serrano applied at day of seeding, 3 rates, and Serrano applied after lathering. Also, we use 3 rates. We look at the bleaching, and we look at the effect weed control and the effect on rise. What do you see here? And this is a study done over 2 years, 2019 and 2020. So what do you see here? First, the injury, the bleaching. The bleaching was more on after lathering than day of seeding. The bleaching increased as the rate increased. However, at 60 days after treatment, you can see here, the plants look normal. Rise look normal. Height-wise, color-wise, they look normal. The differences in the number of tiller. When you use those 3 rates, day of seeding, we did not see a reduction in number of tillers. But when you put them after lathering, we did have a reduction in number of tillers. And this is for rice tiller. And here is in this case, 2020, we had a lot of weeds in the field, and you can see the reduction in number of tillers. So that's one negative effect if you delay application of Serrano after lathering. Now, when we look at weed control, in 2019, we got excellent weed control from both the treatments at day of seeding and after lathering. Weed control was great with 8 pounds. So I don't know the reason to increase, but that's up to the grower to increase the rate. But in 2020, where we had a huge amount of weeds in the field, what we did see that using Serrano after lathering reduce the control of water grass and also reduce the control of springle top by almost 20%. When we look at the yield, also the yield reduce when you put Serrano after lathering. So the take-home message here that using Serrano after lathering can reduce weed control, can decrease the number of tiller of rice, and also can impact your yield. Okay, now I'm getting to the new herbicides. We're pretty excited. I told you early on. Since 2015, we were working with several new molecules. And some of these herbicide molecules and new active ingredients, some of them coming to the market soon. We have Loyent. I've been told that the package at DPR, and it's going to be available soon. So I don't know what soon mean. I hope it's going to be for this season. Pyroclonil, a new herbicide, I will get to it. It's a package in EPA, and the expectation maybe it's going to be in 2022, and I hope that's correct. This has a mode of action, which is a protox inhibitor, similar to what you have with Shark, and I will get to that, no resistant to this mode of action. We working with oxyfluorophene on Roxy rice, and I also been told maybe 2023 it's going to be in the market. This is, again, is a protox inhibitor, and I will get to that, although I know Kent is going to give a presentation on oxyfluorophene. And we are excited about the new FMC, a new grass herbicide. This is a new mode of action. We don't have any herbicide in the market with this mode of action. It is DHODH, which is dihydroorotate dehydrogenase. It affects a process, we call it the pyridine synthesis in the plant, and the expectation to have it in the market in 2024. So I will go over each of those with emphasis on Loyent because it's going to be probably in the market this season. So Loyent is a new herbicide belong to a chemistry which is aryl piclonic acid. This is an auxin type herbicide similar to Grandistant. The Grandistant has an auxin type herbicide, but it has different binding site in the plant. So it's not the same binding site that that Grandistant bind to. So this is good because we can use Loyent to control some of the resistant weeds. Loyent is systemic, which move in the plant. It absorbed mostly by foliage. However, it can be absorbed also by roots. This herbicide, we've been working with different rates over the time. The label is going to have somewhere between a pint to pint and third. I think you will get better control with 1 pint and third, and they will allow you to use 2 applications per season. One important thing, and I would like to say it in the beginning, this is not a standalone product. This is a product you can help you on a clean up the field. If you're gonna rely on it as a stand-up alone treatment, you're probably gonna be disappointed. So you need to think about it for cleanup, and you need to think about it, what I mix it with to get best control, and I will get to that. We did test Loyent with different adjuvant. Although the label may say you can use several types of adjuvant, our work show methylated seed oil, probably the most effective one to use with Loyent. The label will only allow to use it by ground application, not by air, and probably will allow 10 gallon per acre of water or more. So they trying to reduce the drift issue by using large quantity of water and also use ground application. Water management, it's not going to be different than what other post-emergency cleanup herbicide. You got to have 70% of the weeds above water when you spray the herbicide. If you spray the herbicide and the weed under the water, you're not going to get good control. We tried this and it didn't work. Timing, you have a broad window. 2 leaves rise up to 60 days before harvest. So you got a broad window to use it, and we can mix it with almost every herbicide we use as a post-treatment. We did test this herbicide on multiple varieties to see if there is a varietal response. The good news, we did not see any varietal response. This year, we're gonna work on a different variety, but we're gonna put a late application to see if there is impact on rise at flower initiation and so forth. So my recommendation, this is a part of a program. Use it in a program. It's not stand-alone treatment. Probably you're gonna get better result if you follow bute, serrano, thiobincarb, and then you come back to clean up the field with Loyent. Now, we did quite a bit of research over the year, and this is from our work this year. And we did a study where we look at Loyent at Arbuckle, Willows, and also at Biggs Station. We used different rate of Loyent. We went up to 2x, and what we found, no injury on the rise from all rates. Also, when we mix it with other herbicide, no injury. Of course, you see higher injury here for the propanil, and that's the propanil nature because it caused some burning on the plant. But the good news, we did not see any injury on the rice. When we look at weed control, and I'm gonna show you here Biggs because we had a lot of weed pressure this year, and this will illustrate how good Loyent is. Water grass, and I will get to this, which type of water grass you can control it with Loyent. Not fantastic. You get some activity, but I think it has some weakness, and I will get to that. Bulrush, Decent control, similar to what you get with grandstand, smaller flower, decent control, and it depends on the biotype, and it depends how big or how large smaller flower at time of application. Duck solid, we got excellent control, and I think I go back again, you need to mix Loyant with other herbicide to um, to 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 increase weed control.
Kassim, you have 2 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting too slow then. Well, we look at the program and we think it's going, it will be good after Serrano, it will be good after Butte, and will be good after thiobincarb. So consider that. If you use Loyant, you need a basic program. From weed control standpoint, you can control barnyard grass, flat set bed, duck salad, red stem, monocoria, arrowhead, water hyssop, field brush, bulrush. It suppress water grass and late water grass. It's poor on early water grass, suppressed late water grass. And the control of smaller flower depend on the population. Certain population more sensitive than other, and also larger smaller flower cannot control well with this herbicide. Few pictures here to show you the control. And here is after Butte, after Serrano, and here is my control, no treatment, and here is with Bolero. Now, we're doing herbicide drift. I'm probably gonna pass on this. The only crop we worry about if it drift on is pistachio. The other crops, we test them, almond, walnut, prune, peaches. It looks relatively safe on these crops. Now, paraclonil, we're working with paraclonil. This is a good herbicide. It's a broad spectrum weed control herbicide, good on the grasses, good on a smaller flower, doesn't work well on springle top, and also not very strong on bulrush. We're expecting to have it in the market in 2022. We tested on multiple resistant population, and we were able to control these resistant population with paraclonil. So we are pretty excited about that. No varietal response here, and we have granules, very good granules we can use. And also the best timing to use this herbicide is a day of seeding, and we don't see it in the water. So I hope the EPA will be very lenient on water holding period. Roxyrise, I will leave it to Kent, but what exciting thing about this herbicide, you can use it to pre-planting. You prepare the seed bed, spray the herbicide, bring the water, and you will get good grass control, good broadleaf weed control. It's weak on bulrush and slightly weak on smaller flower. And the rate you're gonna use it is 1.5 pounds to probably 2 pounds. FMC herbicide, this is very good herbicide on grasses. It's specialized for grasses. It can control also monocoria, but it's a grass herbicide. We're working on it. They have a good granule. We tested on different variety, and we're getting we get good safety on all varieties, and it's going to be available in a granule form. And I want to thank the people who helped me and help the program, especially the RISE Research Board who fund the project. And one thing I want to say in the end, we do have a project on the drill seeded rice, and we're looking for cooperator. So if you want to cooperate with us, please send us an email, and we will call you and work with you. Okay, I'm done here. I done it on time, right? Eloise?
Perfect.
Right on time. Does Kassim have poll questions?
Yes, he does. So I'll go ahead and launch those.
Okay. So you want me to read them?
Yes, please.
Yes. To the question 1, to manage breaded springle top in a rice field, a grower need to maintain water depth at least 4 inches throughout the growing season, except when pinpoint to treatment needed. Number 2, maintain depth water in the first 2 weeks after planting, then lower the water to 2 inches deep to conserve water use. Number 3, use 2 application of a propanil to control breaded springle top. Question 2. For maximum efficacy, Serrano herbicide need to be applied within 5 days of planting, the day of seeding, 10 days after planting. Question 3. Loyant herbicide mode of action is auxin inhibitor, cell division inhibitor, amino acid synthesis inhibitor. Question 4. The proper timing to apply Loyant is at day of seeding. Rise the plant at 1 leaf stage, from 2 leaf stage of rise with no exposed root up to 60 days before harvest, and 4, rise at mid-tillering until 3 weeks before harvest. We will open it now.
Yeah, great. So everyone can go ahead and get those answers in. We'll give it a few more seconds here and then go over the correct ones. And we're running a little bit into the break, but that's okay.
Yeah, and Kassim, there's 3 questions on the Q&A that during the break you can type answers to, so everybody can see the answer.
I think the first question is, how long do you have to hold deep water to kill sprinkle top? After that time, can you lower the water? Well, if you keep the water until the rise established and get tiller, probably that will give you a decent suppression. Once the canopy is open and you lower the water for pinpoint, sprinkle top can come back. So that's I hope that's the answer. If you need more details, you can send me email. Did you test any water grass, barnyard grass to resistant to granite? We did, and I think it's not very strong. And we do have some resistant in the previous year, not in this year. When mixed Loyant with the propanil, can we use 2 pints of oil? We haven't tested that, but we get good control. Sometimes it reduces the activity on the grasses, but I don't have data to tell you one way or another. Would Loyant tank mix with clincher help with early water grass control in the drill seeded? If you don't have resistant to clincher, the answer is yes. Okay, now I go back. The first one is correct to maintain the water at least 4 inches deep throughout the growing season. The second question is B is the right answer, is day of seeding. The third question is an auxin inhibitor is the right answer. And the fourth question, C, is the right answer. Loyant can be applied from 2 leaf stage until 60 days before harvest on condition no exposed roots are there. And with that, I am done.
Thank you. So it looks like most people got those poll results correct. Great.